Cyclone Chinesso continues to hit Madagascar Island with heavy rains and severe floods.
Authorities say the tropical storm has affected more than 15,000 people. More details on this later in the news. Good evening. I'm CJ Hero.
And I am Nina Rich Yelago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Department of Budget and Management prepares the national budget of Marcos administration for 2024. Senators call for justice for slain Filipina in Kuwait. U.S. President Joe Biden wants to ban assault weapons after mass shootings. Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence says he uncovered classified documents at his home. And Netflix reunites the original Power Rangers for a special episode. The Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, will begin discussing the national budget for the year 2024. The DBM said the budget proposal will be based on the priorities and policies of the Marcos administration for each government agency. Nadine Aguilar has the report.
The Department of Budget and Management will meet with national government agencies or NGAs and government-owned and controlled corporations or GOCCs to prepare the 2024 national budget of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. According to Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman, the NGAs and GOCCs will support the agency in preparing their budget for next year. The Secretary says the proposed budget of each government agency should be anchored to the priorities and policies of the Marcos administration, particularly the Medium-Term Fiscal Framework or MTFF, the 8-point Socio-Economic Agenda, and the Philippine Development Plan for 2023 to 2028. The 2024 fiscal year budget has an emphasis on infrastructure development, which includes the Build Better More program as well as digital and social infrastructure. The series of budget forums will be held on January 27, 2023 at the Philippine Convention Center or PICC in Pasay City. Among the attendees were heads of budget, accounting, and planning units of NGAs and GOCCs. Nadine Aguilar, for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Senators seek justice for Julibira Nara, the Filipino domestic worker killed in Kuwait. Man Corvera files this report.
Senators condemned the abuse and murder of a Filipino domestic worker in Kuwait. The lawmakers insist that the grave killing of Julibira Nara should not be treated as an isolated case. Senator Jinggoy Estrada says the government must reimpose a deployment ban and stop sending domestic workers to Kuwait. The senator says Kuwait is one of the countries with the highest number of cases of abuse and death of Filipino workers. He states such cases have been repeated even though Kuwait is a signatory to International Labor Organization No. 189 or Domestic Workers Convention, which guarantees the right of workers to a safe working environment. Senators Bong Revilla and Bongo assert that the government should ensure that the killer is held accountable for the crime against Ranara. Meanwhile, the Department of Migrant Workers says they are not considering to suspend sending overseas Filipino workers to Kuwait. But Migrant Workers Secretary Toots Ople announced they will implement additional safeguards for OFWs who will work in Kuwait. She says they will work with the Kuwaiti government to reach a bilateral agreement for the protection of overseas Filipino workers as they did with Saudi Arabia. Mayan Corvera for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
A Senate hearing reveals that some overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, became victims of human trafficking. They claim their employers induced them to become cryptocurrency scammers. During the hearing, Ron, an OFW, says he applied as a call center agent in Cambodia. He narrates that after quickly passing the interview stage, his employer gave him money to arrange his documents and buy a ticket. But upon arriving in Cambodia, he was forced to work as a cryptocurrency scammer. Ron and two other Filipinos who were victims of human trafficking faced the Senate Committee on Women and Family Relations. Ron also names a certain Rachel Almendra Luna as the head of recruitment of cryptocurrency scamming. He claims 90% of the employees were Filipinos. Miles, another victim, says Rachel has a connection at the Bureau of Immigration. She claims this is why she was able to leave the country immediately. Miles says her job includes posting on social media and offering work. Otherwise, she will be punished. Ron and Miles also dropped the name of the immigration officer who helped them. The Bureau of Immigration quickly dismissed the suspect at work and is now under investigation.
Several areas are still under a price freeze after being under a state of calamity. The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, says the price freeze is effective in areas affected by the northeast monsoon, shear line, and low pressure area. The price freeze will last for 60 days in 25 areas of the country that have been placed under a state of calamity. The DTI is currently focusing on products such as canned fish, instant noodles, bottled water, bread, processed milk, coffee, candles, laundry soap, detergent, and salt. Manufacturers are tasked to provide adequate supplies of products in the affected areas.
A group of egg producers say higher production and fuel costs drive the increase in egg prices in the Philippines. For the details, we give you Vin Pascua.
The Philippine Egg Board Association, or PEBA, insists that the increase in the price of eggs is reasonable. PEBA Chairman Gregorio Sandiego says that apart from their group, the government should also raise and talk about the issue of egg price hikes to sales middlemen. The group's comments come after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. instructed the Department of Agriculture to determine the cost of egg price hikes. Sanjiego's group also admits that they have high production costs such as oil products and services. He argues it is only reasonable that retailers will put an extra charge on the price of eggs sold in markets. Sandiego asserts that before the public gives a generalized opinion on the egg price hike, they must look into the production and transportation costs of the middleman and egg sellers.
Sa production side, talagang tumaas yung production cost namin. Yung middleman naman, siyempre, tumaas yung fuel, pinipick up nila yan sa mga farms na, hindi deliver sa mga customers nila. So, siyempre, tumaas din yung cost nila. At yung mga retailers naman, kasi kukunti yung benta nila, siguro naman, maintindihan din natin na tinataasan nila ng margin para makapag-uwi din sila ng income sa araw-araw.
However, Senator Cynthia Villar believes there is no current problem with the supply of eggs in the country. She claims that maybe there are people who want to increase the price of eggs like what happened with some agricultural products.
Kasi sabi sa akin nung mga Batangas ang dami nga nilang itlog, hindi nga mabili kaya ginawa nilang powder egg Tapos ngayon sasabihin may shortage ng egg, di ba? Sabi nila avian flu daw. Sabi nung party list sa Batangas, hindi naman masyadong na-apekto sila kasi sobra-sobrang nagbabad publicity sila para magmahal ang itlog, di ba? Huwag tayo maniniwala kasi baka may reason, di ba? Ba't nila ginagawa yun? Kasi matamang kausapin ko yung mga taga-Batangas, wala naman daw short.
Meanwhile, some Filipinos say they have no choice but to buy eggs even though there is a price hike. From 215 pesos per tray, the price of large-size eggs per tray is now 255 pesos. In one store in Quezon City, the cheapest price of the smallest egg is 7 pesos, while the medium size cost 8 pesos and 50 centavos. A large egg sells for 9 pesos.
Wala kaming choice.
Walang choice.
Kundi bibili. Kailangan.
Vin Pasqua reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A Chinese envoy believes the Philippines and China continue to hold strong ties, files this report.
According to Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Wang Xilian, the latest incident at Ayungin Shoal between the China Coast Guard and Filipino fishermen should not interfere with China-Philippines cooperation. Wang says that during a previous visit to China, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to further strengthen people-to-people exchanges and tourism cooperation between the two countries.
The differences should not be in the way of our cooperation and people-to-people exchanges. On the contrary, we hope that more and more people-to-people exchanges will contribute to mutual trust and to reduce the kind of risk of misunderstanding.
The Chinese envoy believes that this will strengthen the traditional friendship and cooperation between the two countries. The government is also confident that more Chinese will come to the Philippines.
We believe that with the development of our tourism cooperation and we believe that there will be a growing number of Chinese tourists coming to the Philippines to enjoy the beauty of this country.
The Philippines is among the 20 pilot areas of China for outbound tourism group tours. On Tuesday, Ambassador Wang and Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco warmly welcomed the early batch of outbound travel groups from China. Nearly 200 Chinese visitors were happy and excited to make their trip to the Philippines.
I really feel excited. It's been a long time because of the pandemic. We've not been here for a really long time. And I miss the people here because I got friends here.
Yes, I'm excited and happy because this is my first time going to the Philippines.
Secretary Frasco said the arrival of Chinese tourists in the country is a sign of a positive impact on the recovery of the tourism sector and the country's economy. Frasco also said that the number of pre-pandemic guest arrivals from China will surpass 1.7 million, especially that tourism is now in a recovery period.
We anticipate even more Chinese tourists to arrive, and which will greatly help us in our efforts to transform and to recover the tourism industry, as our intention is not only to regain our pre-pandemic numbers, but to exceed it, knowing how the relationship between the Philippines and China will only further improve in the years to come with the stance of both our governments.
The secretary, on the other hand, dismissed health concerns brought about by the expected influx of Chinese visitors in the face of COVID-19 outbreak in China. The Philippines has set protocols for foreigners such as Chinese nationals. Frasco also pointed out that the protection of the public health and employment should be balanced to compensate for the loss of income of Filipinos due to the pandemic.
We continue to convey the Philippines' readiness to receive Chinese tourists and foreign nationals from all over the world, as the effort really is to help our fellow Filipinos regain the losses that they've had and suffered through.
The latest data from the Department of Tourism shows the number of visitors to the Philippines from China has reached more than 6,000 people. Randy Bernardino for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
After nearly 3 years since the start of the pandemic, COVID-19 is no longer the leading cause of death in the Philippines. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, the top 5 causes of death in the Philippines are ischemic heart disease, cerebrovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, and hypertension. The Department of Health, or DOH, says COVID-19 can now be prevented.
all non-communicable diseases. Kaya po tayo ngayon, very strong po ang programa ng Kagawaran ng Kalusugan sa ating healthy behaviors and healthy lifestyle para maturuan natin ang ating mga kababayan para ma-prevent at ma-avoid natin ang ganito mga klaseng preventable naman na pwedeng ikamatay ng ating mga kababayan.
From January to September last year, around 13,883 died due to COVID-19. At the height of the pandemic, COVID-19 was the third leading cause of death in the Philippines.
Nung mga nakaraang taon, especially in 2021, talagang nakita natin na ang COVID-19 deaths ay naging number 3 cause of death dito sa ating bansa. Ibig sabihin, kapag napupunta dun sa top 10 leading causes of death, marami ang namamatay dahil sa sakit na yan. Pero ngayon, sa katulad na nga ng sinabi mo, base sa report, nakita natin na itong COVID-19 deaths ay bumaba na ang pwesto dito sa leading causes natin, naging pang-11 na lang siya. And that signifies, no, nakakaunti na lang ang mga namamatay from COVID dito sa ating bansa, and we are able to prevent already further deaths.
The DOH assures that despite the decrease in COVID cases and resulting deaths, the health department is not being complacent.
Kung tayo ay kumpiyansa at kung ano po yung ating mga tinitignan na concerns in the coming days or months, we will always be cautious about death. Hindi ito sinasabi na maglalast din ito ng ganun katagal. Pero experts and evidences are now showing that the combination of natural immunity and immunity coming from vaccines is now protecting the world.
The Philippines may experience rain across regions due to the presence of the low-pressure area and northeast monsoon. As per the 4 p.m. update of Pagasa, the LPA was estimated at 380 kilometers east-southeast of Davao City. Pagasa says the northeast monsoon or Amihan will continue to affect Luzon and Visayas. The LPA is expected to bring cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms in Mindanao. Meanwhile, Cagayan Valley, Cordillera Administrative Region, Bicol Region, Eastern Visayas, Aurora, Quezon, Romblon, Marinduque, and Oriental Mindoro can also expect cloudy skies with rains due to Amihan. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with light rains. With the presence of LPA and Amihan's moderate to heavy rains, the areas mentioned are prone to possible flash floods and landslides. Coming up, U.S. President Joe Biden calls for a ban on assault weapons. Monstrous cyclone Cheneso pounds Madagascar. And Peru wants a national truce amid weeks of protests. Mata ng Agila International. We'll be right back after the short break.
Susunod sa Counterpoint, ang bagong muka ng pagbabalita ng Net25 News. Kikilalanin.
If ever I'm gonna go back, gusto ko po yung something na talagang I will be proud to be a part of.
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panelo at multi-awarded broadcast journalist Ricky Matay.
Hindi ko palalagpasin ang pagkakataong ito, attorney. I want to ask you.
Sa Counterpoint, Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net25.
This is the first time I'm actually gonna reveal it.
Nag-selfie lang with the Agila, nanalo na! Congratulations! Panalo ka ng 50,000 pesos! Calixto Onida, Alabang, Muntinlupa, Alton Macalisa ng Misamis Occidental, Sofia Bianca Sabino ng Marikina City, Janice Garganta ng Taytay Rizal, Jessel Aying, Mandaluyong City. Maraming salamat ka Net25 sa inyong pagsali sa Selfie with the Agila promo at sa inyong walang sawang suporta sa Net25. Kaya naman, let's be thankful together at let's net together in 2023. This portion.
The news continues here on Mata ng Agila International. As gun violence continues to plague the United States, President Joe Biden urges Congress to quickly pass a ban on assault weapons in the country. Take a look.
And yesterday, my buddy Dianne Feinstein introduced her Senate assault weapons ban. I am asking you all to send that to my desk as quickly as you can. It's really needed badly.
The federal assault weapons ban proposes raising the minimum purchase age for assault weapons to 21. The gunmen in the two recent mass shootings in California were ages 67 and 72. With many Republicans opposed to an assault weapons ban, Congress has repeatedly failed to renew an assault rifle ban that expired in 2004.
In California, Mayor of Monterey Park Henry Law says the city will be looking to see what other services it can provide to help the community heal. This after 11 people died in a mass shooting at the Star Dance Studio in Monterey Park Saturday.
Right now, we have a crisis resource center at our senior center for anyone, not just those who are victims or families, but anyone who is experiencing a crisis and needs assistance as they process this tragedy that has transpired. And in the coming days, and we will be looking to see, what other further services we can provide to help our community heal.
Asian Americans are still reeling after two mass shootings in California targeted members of their community. The shootings left 18 people dead. The alleged gunmen in both cases were older men of Asian descent. The killings come in a span of just 48 hours. They are so close together that California Governor Gavin Newsom was at a hospital meeting with victims of the first shooting when he was pulled away to be briefed about the second one. Newsom tweeted, "Tragedy upon tragedy." China's foreign ministry calls for its citizens in the U.S. to pay close attention to the local security situation. It advises avoiding places where people gather.
Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence revealed Tuesday he had uncovered documents marked as classified at his home. It's the latest twist in a growing scandal over politicians' handling of the nation's most sensitive secrets. Pence had his lawyer inform the National Archives last week of a small number of records that were inadvertently boxed and transported to his home as he left office in 2021. He informed the Republican-led House Oversight Committee about the cache on Tuesday, according to Chairman James Comer. Comer said Pence had agreed to fully cooperate with the congressional oversight and answer any questions about the matter. It wasn't immediately clear when or what information the documents contained or their level of classification. The discovery comes in the wake of revelations about classified material discovered in the homes of U.S. presidents. Stashes have been found at President Joe Biden's private office and residence. There are also allegations that Donald Trump obstructed justice over an FBI probe of a much larger stash of government secrets found at his Mar-a-Lago resort.
Cyclone Chineso continues to pound Madagascar Island. It has affected over 15,000 people so far. Water covers several districts of Mahajanga in northwest Madagascar. The roads that connect them to the capital are ruined. The country's Ministry of Population and Social Affairs says it has been housing the flood victims since Sunday after the big storms hit. Makeshift shelters include a public primary school in the neighborhood. The agency says it has arranged shelter for the victims and distributed meals.
Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador says he does not support the idea of creating a common currency in Latin America for commercial exchanges. This after the possibility was raised by Brazil and Argentina. López Obrador says Mexico could not agree with a common currency in Latin America. He says for many reasons, they have to continue to keep the U.S. dollar as a reference.
Peru's President Dina Boluarte calls for a national truce as thousands of protesters continue to demand her resignation and fresh elections. Boluarte asks for dialogue, peace, and unity following weeks of unrest that have at times turned violent. At least 46 people were killed in clashes between demonstrators and security forces. Boluarte says the truce is to establish the dialogue, set the agenda for each region, and develop peaceful relations. She adds she is sure Congress would agree in February to advance elections currently scheduled for April 2024. Asked about her possible resignation, Boluarte scoffed at the idea that it would solve the crisis and the violence.
In Israel, hundreds of high-tech workers protest against a proposed judicial overhaul. They claim the government's controversial plans will hurt the flourishing sector by undermining the rule of law. The protesters argue that the industry would suffer if foreign firms lost confidence in Israel's legal system and democratic principles. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government says judges have too much power over elected officials. It says the proposed reforms are essential to correct the imbalance. Reforms include allowing Parliament to overrule Supreme Court decisions through a majority vote. But critics say the plans threaten Israeli democracy. Opposed to the plan include tens of thousands of demonstrators who have turned out in Tel Aviv and other cities this month. The tech workers' protest block a road in Tel Aviv, while some protesters hold placards reading, "No democracy, no high tech."
The World Health Organization, or WHO, says Tunisian President Kais Saied is punishing his opponents. The group claims the ill treatment amounts to psychological torture. Saied froze parliament and seized executive powers on July 25, 2021. Critics call it a coup and an attack on democracy. Following the 2011 fall of Tunisia's former dictator, incidents of torture had reduced. But the WHO says since Saied came to power, his opponents have been targeted for abuse. The organization says the rise in recent years of ill treatment is enormously concerning.
United Nations envoy Helen Ladime tells a Security Council meeting that gang violence in Haiti has reached levels not seen in decades. Ladime calls for support for an international force for the Caribbean country.
Gangs have increasingly resorted to the deliberate killing of men, women, and children as young as 10 years old, have been brutally raped, a tactic that spread fear and destroys the social fabric of communities under the control of rival gangs. Two key developments, if properly supported, can help chart a path back to accountability, the rule of law, and the restoration of democratic institutions.
Haiti's representative to the UN, Antonio Rodriguez, reiterates the call. He says much more action is needed. Rodriguez says there is no room for complacency. He underscores the obligation to act quickly.
The World Health Organization says one of its doctors has been abducted in Mali. The motivation behind the attack is unclear. In a statement, the WHO
We deplore the abduction of WHO colleague Dr. Mahamadou Diawara, who was taken by unidentified assailants from his car on 23rd January in the town of Menaka in northern Mali. We're working with local authorities to investigate the abduction and ensure our colleague's quick return to his family. Health workers should never be a target. Christian, back to you.
In a statement, the WHO says Diawara was deployed to Menaka at the beginning of 2020. He had been leading efforts to provide medical care to remote communities facing insecurity, risks, and violence. The statement says the driver of his car was also attacked, but the assailants left him behind, and he is recovering from the incident. Up next, an ex-FBI agent is charged over ties to a Russian oligarch. An EU commissioner tells Elon Musk to behave. And human rights group calls on France to repatriate children from Syria. Mata ng Agila International will bring you back more global news. Please stay tuned.
Selfie lang with the Agila, nanalo na! Congratulations! Panalo ka ng 25,000 pesos. Hannah Price Gregorio from Zamboanga del Sur. J.R. Umipi ng Santiago City, Isabela. Alexine Irish Kalinawan from Santa Rosa, Laguna. Janina Cruz ng Nangka, Marikina City. Yasmin Castañeda from San Quintin, Pangasinan. Christopher Burgos ng San Antonio, Marikina City. Ferlie May Zamora from Mazindoc, Zambales. Carl Mariano, Nagilian, Isabela. Aileen Legaspi ng Sapang Palay, Bulacan. Rowena Sarmiento, Mabalacat, Pampanga. Maraming salamat ka Net25 sa inyong pagsali sa Selfie with the Agila promo at sa inyong walang sawang suporta sa Net25. Kaya naman, let's be thankful together at let's net together in 2023.
Mga ka-PSL, ako di ay si Gab Dagangon ng Davao Occidental Tigers. Para sa mainit action, sa hardcourt, tutok lang sa Pilipinas Super League. Ito ang liga ko.
Let's get together, so let's 25.
This A former top FBI agent has been charged with violating U.S. sanctions on Russia by working for an indicted Russian tycoon. Charles McGonigal is accused of investigating a rival oligarch in return for secret payments from Oleg Deripaska. Deripaska is an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin. The U.S. slapped sanctions on Deripaska in 2018 over his close ties to Moscow. McGonigal is a former special agent in charge of the FBI's counterintelligence division in New York. He retired in 2018. McGonigal supervised and participated in investigations of Russian oligarchs, including Deripaska. Prosecutors say that in 2021, he and Sergei Shestakov, a 69-year-old Russian diplomat, conspired to provide services to Deripaska, violating the sanctions. McGonigal has been charged with 4 counts, including conspiring to evade U.S. sanctions, violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and money laundering. Each carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison.
A European Union commissioner tells Elon Musk that he has to behave. In an interview with Euronews Next, Vera Jourova says that the message is clear. There are rules which have to be complied with. Otherwise, there will be sanctions. The EU Commissioner for Values and Transparency did not iterate what rules the Twitter boss has not been complying with. She adds that people have to behave in some decent ways so as not to cause really big harm to society. She notes, however, she does not feel that Musk follows this notion of responsibility. The Twitter CEO is often the object of criticism from public figures for his handling of the social media platform since acquiring ownership. Musk has yet to reply to the commissioner's comments.
Amnesty International has a call to France, repatriate children living in jihadist prisoner camps in northeastern Syria. According to Cherina Gerolon, the head of Amnesty France's Conflict, Migration and Justice Program, the children live in unsanitary conditions. She says they are left to misery. Gerolon's comments come after Paris announces it has repatriated 15 women and 32 children from the camps. This is the third major return of French citizens from the country. Rights groups have been pressing for years for France to take back the wives and children of alleged Islamic State group fighters held in the camps. This since the jihadist movement was ousted from its self-declared caliphate in 2019. The government refuses a blanket repatriation. It says the return of potentially radicalized IS family members poses security risks in France. The country has seen a wave of jihadist attacks since 2015.
The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees has appealed for $1.6 billion for its work in 2023. The agency calls for Arab countries to show more solidarity. UN Relief and Works Agency Commissioner General Philip Lazzarini says $850 million will be primarily for the public. This fund will be for agency services in the fields of education, primary health, and social services. Lazzarini says $700 million is for the emergency appeal of the Syria crisis. This includes Palestinian refugees from Syria, in Lebanon, and in Jordan.
I keep telling donors and member states that we have entered a danger zone, that the fact that we are constantly struggling financially is, number one, unsettling for the communities, for the staff, for the host country, but also that they should not take our ability to muddle through austerity measure, negatively impacting the quality of the services as a given. This is not sustainable. At one point, we might reach a tipping point.
A new study suggests Earth's inner core has stopped spinning in the same direction and may even be rotating the other way. Exactly how the inner core rotates has been a matter of debate among scientists, and the latest research is expected to prove controversial. A study published in the journal Nature Geoscience analyzed seismic waves from repeating earthquakes over the last 6 decades. The study's authors, Xiao Dong-song and Yi Yang of China's Peking University, said they found that the inner core's rotation came to near halt around 2009 and then turned in an opposite direction. They say the inner core rotates relative to the Earth's surface back and forth like a swing. The researchers note that one cycle of the swing is about 7 decades, meaning it changes direction roughly every 35 years. They note it previously changed direction in the early 1970s and predicted the next about phase would be in the mid-2040s.
Temperatures in China's northernmost city plunged to minus 53 degrees Celsius over its coldest ever recorded, according to meteorologists. Mohe is located in the northeastern Heilongjiang province and nestled near Russian Siberia. The city is widely known as China's North Pole and is one of the few places in the country to have a subarctic climate. As per the Heilongjiang Meteorological Bureau, the temperature at 7 a.m. on January 22 beat the 1969 record of minus 52.3 degrees Celsius. Next week, big temperature drops in some parts of the country are forecasted. Authorities say climate change has worsened the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events.
An iceberg the size of London, England, breaks off the Antarctic ice shelf. The chunk of ice is more than 1,500 square meters in size. The British Antarctic Survey says the iceberg broke free Sunday night during a spring tide. The calving was expected. The cracks in the 150-meter thick Brunt ice shelf have been widening for several years. The survey says the break is nothing unusual and not related to climate change. It says the calving is part of the natural behavior of the Brunt ice shelf.
Brazil's Environment Minister Marina Silva knows she has her work cut out to protect the Amazon. She says it will be difficult. The Amazon is the world's largest rainforest, shared among 9 countries. Just 3 weeks into the job, Silva says the environmental situation in her country is worse than expected. Brazil is home to more than 60% of the Amazon. Born in the heart of the jungle, Silva says the reality is a lot worse than can be imagined. The 64-year-old minister says it will not be an easy road, but they will try to recover lost time. Coming right up, the U.S. Justice Department sues Google over its dominance of the online ad market. Doja Cat dons red paint and 30,000 Swarovski crystals at couture show. And foodies share their favorite Asian cuisine. Catch more news when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Oh no! Para stress-free ang 2023, mag-tune in lagi.
Spaghetti pa, baba.
Lahat ay napapasayaw sa saya. Ay, tumigil eh. May napapatalon sa ligaya. May napapasigaw sa gulat. Oh no! Oh no! At pati mga artista, nakiki-join force pa.
Tayo nakatingin.
Yon! Oh no! Tuloy-tuloy ang tawa at saya. Huwag nang magpaiwan pa. Takbo! Oh no! Dapat memorize na yan. Tuwing Sabado, alas 8 ng gabi, kung saan kayong bida at lahat ay kasama. Ang pinakakwela at pinakamasayang prank show ng bayan.
Sino ka? Joey! Joey! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! It's B.O. Beer only. Wow!
Sabi ko na nga ba eh. Sabi ko na
It's Biro Only.
Tabi!
Dito sa Net 25.
Together, let's get together. Sa Net 25.
Susunod sa Counterpoint, ang bagong muka ng pagbabalita ng Net 25 News. Kikilalanin.
If ever I'm gonna go back, gusto ko po yung something na talagang I will be proud to be a part of.
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panelo at multi-awarded broadcast journalist Ricky Matay.
Hindi ko palalagpasin ang pagkakataong ito, attorney. I want to ask you.
Sa Counterpoint, Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net 25.
This is the first time I'm actually gonna reveal it.
We now welcome you back to Mata ng Agila International. The union says U.S. auto giant Ford is planning to axe 3,200 jobs in Germany. The union is extremely concerned about the future of the company's sites in Europe's top economy. The news comes amid fears in the European Union that companies could shift their operations to the United States. This is due to the recently passed landmark Inflation Reduction Act that offers tax cuts for U.S.-made electric cars and batteries. A spokesman for the IG Metal Union says the cuts will be mainly in Cologne, where Ford has a major plant. However, all sites across Germany are threatened. Ford also has a development center in nearby Merkenich. The car maker did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Just last year, Ford has said it would make a major investment in Germany in a bid to make all of its passenger vehicles sold in Europe electric by 2030.
The United States Justice Department has sued Google for its dominance of the online advertising market. The government launches a fresh legal battle against the California-based tech giant over its world-leading search engine. A filing in the federal antitrust suit accuses Google of unlawfully maintaining monopolies in the market, monopolies for online advertising, search advertising, and other activities linked to Google's search engine.
Today, the Department of Justice, joined by 8 states, filed a civil antitrust lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia against Google. We alleged that Google has used anti-competitive, exclusionary, and unlawful conduct to eliminate or severely diminish any threat to its dominance over digital advertising.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian athletes have no place at the 2024 Paris Olympics. This was his message to French counterpart Emmanuel Macron on Tuesday as his country marks 11 months of war. After Russia launched its invasion on February 24 last year, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, swiftly sanctioned Russia and neighboring Belarus. No international sporting event has been organized in Russia or Belarus since the outbreak of the conflict. The country's national symbols have also been removed from major competitions. IOC Chief Thomas Bach said last year that he would like to see the sporting sanctions extended in 2023. He hopes to see a strong Ukrainian team at the Paris Olympics and the 2026 Winter Olympics in Italy. Zelensky told Bach that he fiercely opposed the views that Russian and Belarusian athletes could compete at the Paris Games as long as they did not bear their country's flags.
Doja Cat stunned fashionistas at Schiaparelli's latest runway show in a jaw-dropping outfit. She was covered head to toe in red body paint and 30,000 Swarovski crystals. The singer attended the Schiaparelli Spring-Summer 2023 Couture Show in Paris. Doja Cat's outfit featured a silk bustier, a skirt covered in lacquered wooden beads, and a pair of matching red boots. The dramatic look was custom designed by Schiaparelli's creative director Daniel Roseberry. The nearly 5-hour red makeup look was done by artist Pat McGrath. McGrath posted on his Instagram that the final product was a magical, mesmerizing masterpiece of sparkling brilliance.
The original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers cast reunites on Netflix for a brand new special episode. Netflix confirms the return of original stars David Yost as Billy the Blue Ranger, Walter E. Jones as Zack the Black Ranger, and Barbara Goodson, the voice of Rita Repulsa. The scripted and standalone 30th anniversary special is titled Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Once, Always. It is set to premiere on April 19.
With an abundance of tasty choices, Asian food remains a consistent and reliable option for many. In Pomona, California, Eva Basalyahe surveys which culinary delights are the go-to choice when it comes to Asian dishes. Take a look.
What is your go-to Asian food?
Peking duck. It's very tasty, you know. They have the wrap and the vegetable and the sauce.
I really like takoyaki. It's a Japanese food. It's like a finger food. Little balls of octopus meat, like kind of enveloped in a pancake mix.
I would say my favorite Asian food is probably sushi. It's kind of more basic. There's just so many different kinds of it, so I think it could appeal to a lot of people.
Noodles.
I know, right? There's so many. You gotta just eat it, and you know why Asian food is good.
I think my favorite Asian food is bulgogi. I absolutely love it. I mean, flavorful, savory. You can actually just have it with rice, and it's just so delicious.
Pancit, adobo, sinigang, sisig, ramen, and sushi, and yakitori, kebabs. There's something about Asian cuisine that's just, it's very powerful. Like the flavors are so strong and bold. I like a lot of other cuisines too, but for just some reason, when I have like Japanese food, Chinese food, Asian food in general, the flavors are so powerful. Some of the best flavors I've ever had. There's just something about that flavor that has me hooked.
But I like ramen. I just like it. I just tasted it one time and ooh, so good.
I love to order taiyaki, which is octopus ball, and to go with it, you can't go wrong with milk tea boba. Any boba drink. It's one of the best food, in my opinion, over any other culture's food. I love Asian food.
Thai, Korean, Filipino. If it's Asian food, you really can't go wrong. Eva Pasayahe, Pomona, California, Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Norwegian archaeologists believe they have found the world's oldest runestone inscribed almost 2,000 years ago. This would make it several hundred centuries older than previous discoveries. The square brown sandstone rock measures about 30 by 30 centimeters. It was found during an excavation of an ancient burial ground in late 2021, ahead of construction on a railway line. According to Oslo's Museum of Cultural History, carbon dating of bones in wood found in a grave beside the rune suggests that it was inscribed sometime between year 1 and 250 AD. Runes and stones inscribed with runic letters, the oldest alphabet known in Scandinavia. They were normally erected at grave sites, especially during the Viking era. The latest discovery is proven a dream for runologists or people who study ancient runic alphabets, inscriptions, and their history. From January 21 to February 26, the unique runestone will be displayed at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo.
On January 8th this year, rioters trashed priceless artwork in Brazil's government buildings. Still heartbroken, restorers in the capital Brasilia work hard to save some of the iconic pieces that were damaged. These include rare furnishings or works by great Brazilian modern artists and international works donated by other countries. Gilcy Rodriguez of the Brazilian Chamber of Deputies Museum says looking for fragments scattered everywhere in the House and in the Senate was like a scavenger hunt. Having worked at the museum for almost 3 decades, she says it is very difficult to talk about the unfortunate event without a feeling of loss and anguish. She says the museum is home to them. According to Ismael Carvalho, the head of the Brazilian Senate Museum's Restoration Laboratory, the issue is much bigger than aesthetic contemplation of artworks. He says they committed years to conserving artworks. He recalls in one insane act, they saw all their work go down the drain.
A trio of Japanese pastry chefs is celebrating after their entry won the World Pastry Cup on the weekend. This is the third time the Japanese have won the contest. Past victories were in 1989 and 2007. The two-day event was held near Lyon in southern France. The winning entry is a dessert created on the theme of wind and perseverance. All entrants had to make desserts without any coloring or additives on a theme of climate change. The Japanese entry is cited for its attention to detail.
We're not done featuring food yet. It is found everywhere in Iraq. A diamond-shaped bread known as samoon. Samoon is an inexpensive companion to almost any meal served up on tables across the country. A baker in central Baghdad says he takes a fresh batch out of the oven every 45 seconds. The small, crunchy loaves can accompany dishes from meat to rice. They can be found on tables in even the most far-flung villages. Some Iraqis like to eat them on the go. They crack them open and add fillings like falafel and vegetables. Part of their popularity lies, of course, in their simplicity and affordability.
Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum.
I'm hungry now.
It's almost midweek, and to help you go through this week, here's a quote from Alice Walker, an American novelist. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get, you've got to make yourself.
And sometimes it's heartbreaking because you expect people to be happy for you and then they're not because, I don't know, for some reason, maybe they're jealous or maybe, you know, they want something else for you. So you just have to be happy from within.
That's right. And I've said this in the past. Whatever situation you're in, happiness remains your choice.
That is true. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am CJ Hero.
And I am Nina Rich Yelago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.